Hello guys, and welcome to my Balanced Druid guide for 8.1, the Battle for dazar'alor. My name is Squiggle, and today I'm going to talk you guys through the ins and outs of the Boomkin in this current raid tier. Now, starting off, I am going to say that I am currently a Horde on this character. I am playing with my Horde Guild Ascension, and I'm loving every minute that I'm playing on the Moonkin in this raid. I can start by saying that this class is extremely strong, and mastery of it is going to definitely guarantee you a raid spot in any type of guild. In this video, I'm going to go over a lot of relevant facts as to why the Druid is so good, as well as what you guys can do to play it to its full extent. This is going to include going over logs, stats, talents, Azerite builds, and of course, what we are going to do in fights with our rotation, AOE, and single target. So without further ado, here is my guide, and I hope you guys enjoy. So right now we are quickly going to look over the statistics in Mythic Battle for dazar'alor and just how well the Balanced Druid is going. So as you can see here, right now the top 6 slots are taken by ranged DPS, and Balanced Druid is definitely one of these among them. On top of this, I will also add that I think that Balanced Druid does have a very wide toolkit, a very good mix of utility, and I think that the healing that it can do on a fight like Mechatalk is definitely not negligible. For example, on some of our Mechatalk pools, I was doing upwards of 3k HPS, which in a healing intensive fight like Mechatalk, especially in the intermission where you have no DPS to do, is quite strong in my opinion, and makes it really stand out as a hybrid class. On top of this, I might also add that Balanced Druid is doing better than any single melee class in the game, and this is simply due to the way that balance is functioning at the moment, how it does in the multi-dot sort of fights, and how it even does on pure single target fights. So if you are looking to reroll to a range or simply just want to play an ult for a little bit of fun, I wholeheartedly recommend playing the Balanced Druid, and that even gives you the avenues to play the other specs, which makes it an even more versatile class overall. So next up, we are going to have a quick look at what our sims look like when we are looking at the Azerite traits. So to start with, we can see that one stack of Arcanic Pulsar is going to be absolutely fundamental for playing the Balanced Druid. The reason for this is because it gives us 6 seconds of Celestial Alignment, or Incarn if we have this talented. Now, what this means as well is that we can get 3 Star Surges into this window, and we can also get 2 Lunar Strikes and 1 Solar Wrath into this window. This basically means that we have a guaranteed 6 seconds of Celestial Alignment every 9 Star Surges, and this also means that the level of this trait does not matter too much. Even if you get like a 385 one, it is still probably going to be a lot better than any other 415 trait you can get. After this, if we are looking at stacking traits, I recommend that you guys run between 1 to 2 Treacherous Covenant, and you guys look at running 3 Streaking Stars. Now this sim actually does not show the Celestial Alignment build with the Streaking Stars. However, I expect the Streaking Stars to be a lot higher in the sim than what we can see right here. So if we are talking about a pure best list, I recommend 1 Arcanic Pulsar, 3 Streaking Stars, and 2 Treacherous Covenant. Of course, there are times when 2 Treacherous Covenant is not very good. I have been using 2 Treacherous Covenant for doing a fight such as Mechatalk, and in the last phase, especially where I need to heal myself, I cannot keep this above 50%, and there are even times when below 15% that I will actually take increased damage. So in the interest of this, I am opting to probably run 2 Dawning Sun traits. Now, of course, if you can get them, I recommend running things like Champion of Azeroth and Blightborn Infusion. These are extremely good traits, and they are just very hard to come by, especially on the current raid pieces. So next up, we are going to have a quick look at what sort of trinkets we want to be running on the Balanced Druid. So to start off with, we are going to have the Incandescent Silver, which is essentially just the biggest noob trap in the game at the moment. People are going completely nuts over this Incandescent Silver. However, with the current strategies that are in place for a lot of the mythic bosses, the uptime on this trinket is going to be extremely low. Now the reason for this is that a lot of mechanics involve sort of stack and spread motions, and what this means is that the Resto Shaman and the Resto Druid are going to get insane amount of healing numbers on these stacked spots. However, if you are doing this, then your incandescent silver is going to be basically worthless. Now after this, we want to be looking for the Dread Aspirant's Medallion if you guys are very good at PvP. However, if you are not very good at PvP, make sure that you get the Ignition Mage's Fuse. This drops from dazar'alor, which is in my opinion the easiest dungeon in the game. So nothing is stopping you from whacking out some 10 dungeons, especially if you can get yourself a good group together. After this, the Crest of Paku is going to be our best in slot from the raid. Now I really do recommend that you guys get the Crest of Paku and the Ignition Mage's Fuse. These, in my opinion, are the best things for a raider and a PvPer to sort of farm for, especially if you aren't good at PvP like myself. So the Dread Aspirant's Medallion is out of the question for me, because I would prefer to just do dazar'alors rather than spamming 2s and getting owned at 1500 rating. So next up, we are going to have a quick look at what the sim looks like for the Balanced Druid in terms of the stat weights. Now this is off my current Balanced Druid with its current best in slot single target setup. And for the record, I am running 2 Streaking Stars and 1 Arcanic Pulsar, and I wish to get my 3rd Shooting Stars trait very soon. However, I'm just using a 415 really big stat stick chest, and it does not have the best traits, but I feel like I'll probably get it in the next week or 2 from the raid. So first up, we're going to see that Mastery, Haste and Critical Strike are going to be insanely close together. Now this character does have double Haste Trinket, and it has full Haste, Enchants and Gems. And the reason for this is so that I can get as many casts into my Arcanic Pulsar window as possible. So in my opinion, the Haste stat scaling is actually slightly higher than what the sim actually shows. This is just a perfect 0 ping sort of fight, 0 movement. This is just a complete patchwork sort of sim. So if you interpret it this way, the Haste is probably slightly better than the Mastery is. After this, these 3 stats are pretty much of a muchness. It doesn't mean that you need to really configure your gear towards any of these in particular. All this means is that intellect is heavily devalued, and what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have as little versatility gear as possible, and all of your gear just has high stats of Mastery, Haste and Critical Strike. So right now I'm going to briefly go over some of these talent choices that I've taken on the Balanced Druid. So now we are going to start off with Nature's Balance for our single target, Force of Nature for our Mythic Plus situations, and Warrior of Elune for very niche AOE situations. So Nature's Balance is going to synergize very well with our current build and our Azerite Traits. Now this is going to be our best in slot single target like I said. However, for Mythic Plus, the Force of Nature is just going to give us really good AOE taunt, and it is going to help us save the tank, really mitigate the overall DPS done to the group. After this, Warrior of Elune, I've seen some very good Balanced Druids make very good use on this in Zekvoz style fights where you just have a lot of burst AOE. I've considered going this on a fight such as Opulence for the 1 minute interval between the adds. Now this is going to mean that you can completely nuke this, and it also gives us a slight single target increase. After this, Wild Charge is something that I recommend for 100% of situations. Having the disengage is just way too strong on the Boomkin, and I can't imagine living life without this talent. After this, Restoration Affinity is going to be extremely good. It helps us with our off healing in the group, and as I will also say in this video, it helps us do on average 3k plus in very heavy healing situations. Now this is accentuated by the fact that you get Rejuvenation, Swift Mend and Wild Growth, which you can use on top of your other healing spells, and it really helps you in intermission fights such as Mechatorg. After this, I recommend Typhoon 90% of the time. However, I am using Mass Entanglement for Mechatorg progression. After this, Sims say that Star-Lord is going to be better than Incarn. However, Incarn is a lot better to use in an actual fight, and it accentuates the power of a lot of our traits, such as the Arcanic Pulsar and the Streaking Stars trait. After this, Stellar Flare is going to be our best for single target, taking Patchwork into consideration. However, Twin Moons, if you have to move a lot, and if there are 2+ targets up all the time is going to be our best in slot trait. Last but not least, Shooting Stars is going to be our best trait when it comes to single target and light cleave where you do not want to nuke the adds. However, Fury of Elune is going to really give us some strong burst AoE as well as some on-demand burst damage single target. So therefore, I recommend using Fury of Elune for Mythic Plus and for fights such as Opulence where the adds really need to die in a good amount of time. So right now I'm going to quickly show you guys what to do for the opener for the Balanced Druid. So off the bat we're going to use a double Solar Wrath into a Stellar Flare. Now this is only doable if you're at max range of the boss, and this means that if you are too close then you are instantly going to pre-pull the boss probably around 1. So after this you want to get your double dots up, you want to get to 100 AP, then you want to use your Incon, followed quickly by a Star Surge. After this, we want to make sure that we are getting as many Star Surges into this window as possible, whilst keeping 100% uptime on our dots. So now briefly, I'm going to go over min-maxing of this trait that I was talking about earlier. So what we want to do is we want to get to above 90 Astral Power, then we want to start off with a Star Surge. Now after this, we want to use a Loner Strike, followed by a Solar Wrath, followed by another Star Surge. Then, depending on our haste, we want to get another Solar Wrath or Lunar Strike in before casting our last Star Surge. So what this means is that you get a total of 3 Star Surges as well as 2 other casts of the Lunar Strike and 1 cast of the Solar Wrath inside this window, and really showing why this trait is so good and the Incon for 6 seconds is so potent as well. So right now I'm going to show you a rank 1 log that I got on the stormwall blockade. I know it is a weird flex, but I just wanted to show you how I can accentuate the strength of the Balanced Druid in order to show some very good DPS. So right now what I'm doing is I'm watching the dots on both the boss and the target. I'm going to get my Incon off inside the Lust window as well as my second potion, and I'm simply going to dot up the ad and then kill the boss. So at this point you can see that this ad is completely melting, mostly from the Destruction Warlock in our group, and we do not need to put too much damage on this one as it is a waste. We want to be focusing on our boss DPS at this time, and then after this we want to be focusing more on the ads. So as you can see here, all of the cooldowns are down. We're going to put down our triple dots onto both of these, and when it gets the dispel, we are simply going to swap over to the ad and just completely obliterate it. Put some nice fat Star Surges into it, and then just kill it right off the bat. So here right at the end, I actually do make a slight mistake. You guys can see that the boss is very low. I simply want to kill this ad, put up the 3 triple dots onto it, and then I want to swap over to the boss and get off my Star Surges. I'm too focused on killing these back ones, simply because I didn't listen to the comp about swapping to the boss only. I'm going to miss a few Star Surges at the end actually, which is going to make my damage slightly lower. At this point, when these aren't going to hit the boss, you want to simply make sure that you are hitting the boss only and getting as many Star Surges into the fight as possible. Like I said there, if I got another 2 Star Surges into the fight, it would have resulted in slightly better damage. However, this is the beautiful thing about learning a new class. You make these mistakes every once in a while. However, if you are very pedantic about your mistakes, it is only going to make you a better player. You can get it better next time and maybe improve on your personal best. So now we want to show the power of Twin Moons in a lot of these heavy cleave fights and what we can do in order to make our damage stronger. So right now you can see that I'm going to be dotting up the ice blocks and I'm going to be dotting up the ordinances that are available for hitting. So after this we want to be pumping as much damage into the boss as possible and as much damage into these ordinances as possible as when the raid leader says so. So the amazing thing about the Boomkin is you can really start to stack up your astral power and just completely nuke things that need to die ASAP. You can see as soon as this comes down, I'm going to get some double dots onto each of them, which is going to increase my overall damage, but more importantly, it is going to increase my astral power over time. So what this means is we are going to get some light cleave onto the boss, while we are going to be doing overall a lot more damage. Of course, if you do not want these to die, it is imperative that you do not kill these too quickly, then you are going to leave them and avoid multi-dotting or cleaving them at all times. After this, you want to make sure that you are only using your Starfall if it is going to hit 5+ targets for the full duration of 8 seconds. If this is not the case, then you want to be making sure you are using your Star Surge at all times, and you are simply keeping these dots up for AOE situations. One other talent that I recommend for these AOE situations would include running the Fury of Elune. This is very good for burst AOE, and I do recommend it for Mythic Plus, especially with the new affix. Now, it is also worth mentioning that it is not worth double dotting a target if it is going to die in 6 seconds. Simply refrain and just make sure that you are casting your Solar Wraths and Lunar Strikes. Now that just about wraps up my guide for the Balanced Druid in 8.1 Battle for dazar'alor. If you guys have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comment section down below. And if you guys like this video, make sure to thumbs up it and make sure to subscribe for more information in the next coming weeks. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you next time.